Isabel is a friend of mine that I met when I was working in the hospital in Texas, in Fort Hood. She is an orphanage director who founded an orphanage almost 20 years ago. She now lives in Liberia again. She took a short break to live in the United States to try to earn money for the orphanage when they ran out of money. She has been corresponding with us and kind of letting us know what goes on at the orphanage. And you guys, every time that you participate with me with some of my projects, actually help me to support her orphanage, right? So that's been kind of cool. We have helped to buy a kid a leg. We've got solar power fixed so that they have energy even when the rest of the country doesn't have energy. We've gotten them like a computer and a TV so that the kids can like have their brains stimulated and like can learn. There's so many employment opportunities on the computer, and in Africa, especially right now as a continent, freelancing is becoming a big thing. So eventually we want to make some connections between some of the older teenagers there and, you know, viable freelancers that I know so that they can get education and training. And we've been putting kids through school, actually, too. We've been helping them. So, I just wanted to show you some pictures. She sent me an update. We bought them a little holiday party. You know, I celebrate Hanukkah. A lot of my family celebrates Christmas. So I'll celebrate with them. Sometimes people will celebrate with me. Down there, she celebrates Christmas. Down there, across there, she celebrates Christmas. And this is the kids, and this is what their party looked like. There's about 45 kids now because the government keeps dropping off kids for them. And so she made it all nice. I like this little kid dressing up as Santa. And all the kids got little gifts and some candy, which is cool because that's not something they get a lot of. On average, these kids usually, they're guaranteed rice. And then that's through the charity hishandsupportministries.org/Liberia. Them and another child fund that's located through the UN in Africa. Those two organizations basically make sure the children definitely are going to get rice. Kids need more than rice to eat. A lot of times they can supplement with beans and with spices, and sometimes they can get protein like chicken. They're currently growing potato greens that they use to eat. But the main staple food is rice, and unfortunately the price of rice has gone crazy high in Liberia lately. To get some idea, the average worker earns about $25 a month in Liberia. The average person needs almost $50 a month to live in Liberia. Especially if you're going to factor in things like for kids, like school supplies, clothes, other kinds of things like that. The bags of rice now are costing about $25, which is a huge problem. And obviously, an orphanage of 45 kids goes through rice pretty quickly. So it's kind of nice to be able to get them something other than rice. And you can see, I think you can see in the corner, this girl who's on a phone, which is kind of exciting. Some of the older teenagers will get odd jobs outside of the orphanage, and they will save up for things, so that's kind of cool. So, that girl there, I don't know if you can see on her plate, but there's these round little dough things. Two things that are Liberian foods that I think are yummy is, I think Isabel gave me fried plantain one time, but the thing that's really yummy is these little, I think they're called fufu. They're these little dough balls that you deep fry, and they're yummy. And yes, hush hush, I agree. That is crazy stuff. So, that's the problem, right? But they're basically they have a little holiday treat there. They're like these deep fried like donut balls, and they're quite yummy. So that's cool. And I have a couple more pictures that she sent me. So the kids are all eating, and they've got their presents, which is cool. That's one of the helpers at the orphanage. There are a couple ladies who live there full-time and stay there. And they also have to work outside in order to make money. So that's kind of a thing, because they're not paid very much. They are paid about, I think, like $50 a month, because Isabel makes sure that they get something for the work they do. But it's a thing. It's difficult. But you see, like, the kids have, because of these sponsorship programs, the kids are actually doing pretty well right now, which is kind of cool, despite the high price of, like, normal stuff like food. You can see, like, everybody got their little bag of candy. That kid has super niche shoes that he was able to get because of sponsorship stuff. And because we were able to send them holiday money over, they were able to have a pretty lovely Christmas party. Obviously, they don't have, like, snow traditions, but they have traditions that are in common with the United States, because Liberia actually was founded by American black people, actually. It was a colony founded by slaves, enslaved persons who were sent over to Africa. They were sent back. And so that's a whole thing. I don't know enough about Liberian history except for the stuff that, like, Isabel's been through, like the Civil War and things like that. But it certainly has an interesting history. So there are things that are from the native cultures that were there, and then there are things that are from the enslaved Americans who moved to Liberia. So it's fascinating. All the different cultural things. So you can see the kids with the gifts. Oh, so cute. I'm really happy about these pictures. And they're all like, everyone's getting food, everyone's doing okay, everyone has good clothes, everyone's having fun. And we were able to buy chicken for the holiday party, which was nice because they don't always get chicken. So what you see in this picture, just to tell you a little bit about Liberian culture, this right there is like spicy rice. She made it for me when she was in the United States. There's the chicken, which is good, and then the rice is the spiciest stuff on the planet. They have, and it's amazing. It like will clear you right out. It's really yummy though. It's really interesting. I wish she would teach me how to make it. She was going to, but we never had time because of my residency schedule and because I was foolish and I didn't prioritize the people who really cared about me. I was a dummy. And so I look at that rice and I think, Jen, you should have learned how to make that. This is one of the older kids. This might be Abraham, I can't tell with a hat and glasses. But there are a couple older kids who are now out of high school, but who have stayed around to help. Specifically there's one that we're helping go through college. He's working on an IT degree. And he originally wanted to be a PA, but then realized he didn't like that field of study, actually. It was hard. And so he and some of the other older guys stay around to help the kids, which is kind of cool. So we have had some sad stories. There was one kid that we were trying to help who actually ended up running away to another country because he got involved with some other teenagers who were like promising him wealth and all this stuff. And that's a thing that happens, and those are exactly the kind of people who end up being vulnerable to human trafficking. So a lot of these kids come from either war-torn families or families where their background and their poverty would make them very, very vulnerable. So it's really important that they stay in the orphanage. That we can't do anything about them once they've graduated, which this kid had graduated and had left, rather than pursuing his studies, which was kind of sad. So it's, we have sad things and happy things. It's crazy, but it makes me really happy to see them all doing so well and getting all these, look at the beautiful patterns on the chairs and getting good food and all being taken care of, and that's cool. And in that country, that's very difficult, I mean, it's to the point that I happen to know through the grapevine, because of some, like, political tension there are people who want to be associated with the orphanage because they want to try to take, what some of the kids have. And so there's, like, you have to, like, be wary of that, like, be protective of the orphanage. And on the other hand, you'll have the teenagers who, they don't, all their clothes tend to be bought in, like, bulk, and so they don't have, like, the fanciest things that their peers do. So some of the orphanage kids, I mean, they were asking me a couple months ago, like, if we could just send them deodorant, because they didn't have it, and they wanted to be able to feel pretty with deodorant. And I thought that was sad, because a lot of young girls, like, in the United States, have so much more than, like, deodorant in order to feel pretty. But the teenagers begin to feel it's really difficult once you're a teenager in the orphanage, because you've been growing up so different than the normal family structure, right, of having, biologically, usually we are a species where both parents would participate with raising the young, right? That's how our species is. And there would be, like, a tribe and group of people around those units. And obviously we're humans, so we create all kinds of different cultural patterns and all kinds of different families. But biologically, it is hard for kids to grow up without a male and a female, like, close role model, and with a ratio of tons of kids to just a few adults, right? So you don't get as much attention. That's hard. And if you saw my other video on, like, orphanages and the struggles with orphanages, it's difficult growing up in an orphanage. It's better than growing up, it's better than dying on the street because you have nothing. But it's hard. And so a lot of these teenagers, as they get older, they're looking at what other kids around them have, what the lives are like of other children. They have less than other children do, and they might not have the latest fashion, and teenagers want to fit in, right? Imagine your struggles as a teenager to fit in, and then multiply that by not having parents, not having a lot as much adult contact, because it's like 10 of you to one adult, and then on top of that, being poor, not having the newest stuff, and you just definitely don't fit in, right? And that's hard. So it's difficult for a lot of the teenagers, and it kind of makes me happy when the kids and the teenagers can just do something, like take a load off and just do something that's kind of fun and enjoy life a little bit, because that stuff is stressful. Stuff is hard. So, but there's good things too, and happy things too. And they figure stuff out. A lot of these kids are really creative, so to kind of support the creativeness of the children, on the one hand, I've been trying to support, like, some of the kids trying to start businesses. There's one girl named Rachel that we were originally helping go through nursing school, and her grades weren't good, and she realized she hated it. So rather than force her to go through and finish it, and then, like, have, just be miserable and maybe also lose that money that could be used for someone else, we had a conversation, and she opted to work on starting a business instead, so that she can then change and eventually she wants to do design things. But in order to do kind of interior design things, like, it's really difficult to get a job doing that. So she's going to start funding her own schooling and so forth by doing something else that she likes, which is baking. So she's a older teenager, and she's now running her own business selling baked goods, and that's really awesome. And so we helped her get started a little bit with that. We bought her some supplies and so forth, and yeah, I'll update you on her as things come up. But it was kind of exciting, like, she's doing creative things, so we want to support people pursuing their own paths and not kind of force them into the path that we maybe would choose. But for the kids, this month, they're all supposed to be working on a like art contest. So I said, I talked with Isabel about it, and we said they can draw something, or they can write something, or make something, whatever they want to do, and then everyone will get a participation gift, and then one person will like win and get the best, and get an extra gift for winning. And that way we can kind of support and encourage creativity, because another thing is the kids get bored during the day after they get home from school. So after they get done with school, it's like, what are they supposed to do? I mean, it's not like they have a lot of things. So they have to come up with games and ideas, and I want to really support them, even while they're young, being creators. Because if you can shift that mindset, a creator can then become an innovator, and an innovator can change their local economy. And so that's kind of, we're hoping to little by little support the growth of these kids into heroes. And I wanted to update you guys, since you guys helped out actually. So I am like, I'm not gonna lie, it's not like I make enough from writing or even the medical things that I do right now to cover expenses. I don't, because I do a lot of things for free, because I don't believe in there are certain business models that I don't believe in, and there are also certain business models that don't work with my health. So from all these activities and the educational activities, and even from patients, most of my patients right now are non-paying, and I only see a couple a week because of my health. So yeah, I'm not gonna lie, my activities, the money that is made from them, even the sponsorships and stuff like that, doesn't cover like the expenses of it. So I'm doing these things because they're important. So using the support that the military gives because of how sick they made me, that's what we're living on right now. And then while I'm working to try to like help people, what you guys are doing, and every time you buy a product that I make, or every time you do, like you just did like a subscription or something like that, you actually help me be able to do all these cool things, and to be able to help people like Isabel and stuff like that. So that's cool. So a lot of the military, a big chunk of what the military sends goes over to the orphanage, actually, just because they have such, they always have like extra costs. It's 45 kids, right? And most of them are not sponsored. So every time a kid gets sponsored, it really helps take the pressure off me, because then there's, more people. So that's hishandsupportministries.org/Liberia. If you want to support or sponsor a kid, it definitely helps. It makes a very, very big difference also to me personally, because I'm committed to making sure that we do our best with these kiddos. And I'll keep you updated on the contest, which I thought she'd sent me already the stuff from, but she hasn't. So I thought we would get to judge orphans today. That sounds terrible. But I'm excited to see what they've made, and I'm excited to pick a winner, and I'm so glad and grateful to know Isabel, and I'm so glad and grateful to know you guys, and know people who care about making a difference in the world. There are so many people who are only out there to take for themselves, and who excuse it by saying, I deserve this, or I've seen business people who say, like, it's almost like buyer beware, like, if you didn't like this, well, too bad for you. If this happened to you, like, very blame the victim, because it's like a game of dominance instead of a game of, like, business exists to make good products that benefit people, so that people can make a living while doing good, right? That's the whole idea. If you can make a living doing good, that's good, right? So that's the whole point, right? I make excellent shoes, and other people can have shoes, because I make excellent shoes, and that helps them, and they pay me, and therefore I can live for the things that that's the point. But a lot of people don't see business that way, and they do not behave that way. So there's a verse by Rav Shaul in the Brit Hadashah that says, "Let him who steals steal no more, but let him work with his hands so that he may have something to give to those in need." In other words, the entire point of having leftover money and of working is so you can give to those in need. So you take care of yourself, you take care of your family, because there's another verse like that, if you don't take care of your family, you're worse than a quote-unquote infidel. Like, you have to take care of your family. So you take care of your family, and then after that, you work so that you can make a difference in the world, right? And that helps protect you. So, because that helps protect you emotionally when you know you have a reason to be here. I did a video about, and I don't know if you've seen it, but it's about Feed the Hungry. I think it's titled, "This Kid Fed 5,000 people," or something like that, or 9,000 people. And this phone call saved my life. And in that video, we talk about one of the things that contributed, because my life has been in danger many times because I have real bad chronic mental illness, and one of the things that contributed to me staying alive was this Feed the Hungry call that I got one night in Korea. So there are some nasty people out there who are actively engaged in trying to break other people down. Some of them trying to break me down in particular, and it makes me miserable and stressed out. But the fact that you guys exist, the fact that you're able to help me cover the costs of what I'm doing so that I can help people, it makes a huge difference. It's enormous, and it's very needed. And like I said, just barely covering, not even covering costs right now, because the cost to go to Paraguay this year was a lot. That was expensive. But, every little bit that we're doing makes a big difference. So, and it's a whole network, right? Because when I'm able to make, and this is the point of business, if I'm able to make something like a fiction series or something that is able to resonate with you and help you better live your life and help you get through your suffering, then you can go out and help other people with that strength that you get. And if you're able to pay me, then I'm able to use that money to help these folks, and it becomes this great cycle, and then they can go help other people. And this is what business is supposed to be, right? In my mind anyway. It's supposed to be that through these exchanges we actually make a big difference. And yeah, so excited about all of that.